I bet that's what you had to do at the airport this week, is just breathe. Amber had planned this trip to Paris with her partner, and they got to the airport, and they told her her passport, which was good till May, that there was a new law in France that your passport had to be extended, 3 months?
Yeah.
That, so it didn't work because it was expired in May. Anyway, so I don't know how.
Through June.
It had to be good through June, yeah. So crazy rule, doesn't make any sense to me, but I imagine you just had to do a lot of breathing. But it fits in with what I'm talking about today, because I'm talking about sort of a one-size-fits-all answer to everything. Last week we talked about Winnie the Pooh and the Tao of Pooh and being in the flow. And there are 2 other books that have really helped me in my life. Well, there are many books, but 2 of them that I'm talking about today. And one is, of course, The Course in Miracles, which we've done here for many years. And the other is A Course of Love. And they're similar but different. The Course in Miracles is all about reprogramming your mind, because we've all been programmed with that egoic mind that sees the outer world, sees separation and fear. And we feel we have to attack and defend. We feel denied, deprived, persecuted, and abused. I love when the Course in Miracles says that. And so the whole Course is about forgiving, which simply means I choose to see it differently. I choose to see it differently. And all kinds of things happen when we just let go and see it differently. Now, this is all a mental process, which is necessary, and it prepares the way then for another message that comes through in the Course of Love. And I resisted the Course of Love for many years, mostly because when people talked about it, they would say things like, oh, it's so much better. And I didn't like that idea of comparison, that one book was better than another. I think they're both very necessary for our spiritual path. But the Course of Love isn't so much about working in the mind, but about going into the heart and just knowing your union with God. Kind of a one-size-fits-all for everything. Now, the mental training is almost a necessary preparation so that you can get to that point where you let go and know that united with God, all unfolds effortlessly. I'm safe, all is provided, everything is okay, even when they tell you you can't go to Paris. Now, the way Jesus talked about it, he used to say, seek the kingdom first, and all else will be given you. And that's what he meant. Seek that knowing that you are one with the divine. You are divine. And in that knowing, everything is healed, all fear goes away, everything flows. The song we sang so beautifully, let go of the shore and allow the flow to carry you. But the key is, which one do we identify with? Our egoic mind and all the thoughts of fear and separation, or our heart that simply knows God is present, one presence, one power. What is there to fear? One prepares the way. And in the Bible, the 2 people that represent the mind and the heart are John the Baptist, is the illumined intellect. Jesus said of him, there is no one greater than John the Baptist, no man greater of that illumined intellect. Nobody's smarter, nobody's got it more up here than John the Baptist. But then Jesus came along and took it higher, because he was of love in the heart and just knew his oneness with God. The Father and I are one. And in that knowing, miracles, signs, and wonders happen that were so far beyond anyone else. The old rock, paper, scissors, knowing your union with God it trumps everything else. Nothing can win over that. Now, coming into unity, of course, I learned the power of the mind. And I used to love all those old books, like As a Man Thinketh, so is he. As a woman thinketh, so is she. And they're wonderful books, and it's true. We are what our mind creates. We are what our mind is constantly thinking about. But you know what? I can't even program our VCR. So how am I going to think my way back to the kingdom of God? I can't even program a VCR. It's just not going to work for me mentally. All the thoughts in the world aren't going to get me there. And that's why in Deuteronomy we're told, choose this day who you're going to serve. Your egoic mind, which is into fear and separation, all the discord, all the dualistic thinking, or the heart, which is one, which is love, which is nothing but union with God. So it goes on to say, see, I have set before you life and prosperity, death and adversity, egoic mind. I've set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Choose life so that your descendants may live. In other words, choose what you're going to identify. Are you going to identify with I'm Ann Marie, I'm separate from all you, and we're going to duke it out on this earth plane? Or, oh, we're all divine, we're all one. We're one with God. Choose this day. Now I have a story that's going to explain how this works. But first of all, I have to remind everyone, there are two kinds of people in Green Valley. There's the kind that like to tell you all their stories about their health issues. And then the other half of the people are the kind that don't want to hear your stories about your health issues. Am I right about that? Okay. Now having said that, I'm going to tell you a story about a health issue I've had this week. But I'm not doing it just to tell you my moan and groan story. I'm telling you it so that you can see a conversation that I had with myself this week, where I kept going from my egoic mind into my heart, and I would go back and forth, and my mind and heart were arguing to just having a field day. So here it is, and this applies to anyone, whether it's Amber sitting in the airport, or myself, or I'm going to tell some stories that Michael and Marie have that fit with this. It doesn't matter what's your problem. This one happens to be a medical one, but it could be any situation. So here I am. Twice in 1 year, I had trouble with my eyes. A gray curtain would come over one eye, and for a few seconds I couldn't see out of that one eye. It only happened twice in 1 year. But I go to my eye doctor, he says my eyes are fine. I go to my heart doctor, he checks my arteries, he says I'm fine. And they're sending me back and forth. And it happened a second time a few weeks ago. And finally I get a call from the doctor's assistant. And she said to me, you need to go to the emergency room for a CAT scan. Well, my egoic mind went, what, are you crazy? Isn't that extreme? What do you mean go to the emergency room for a CAT scan? My egoic mind did not want to do that, resisted it. I don't want to go there, And finally my heart and my mind, because I could go into your heart, I'm one with God, union with God. It's all okay. This is not a big deal. Finally, I decided, the heart and mind were arguing, and finally they came to an agreement. I would go, but I wouldn't go until morning. I wasn't about to go to the emergency room at night. So that's what I decided. Of course, then once I decided it, my egoic mind went into my daytimer and thought, well, I got all these appointments on Tuesday. I got a class to teach. I don't want to go on Tuesday. You know what I mean? The egoic mind. So I kept going into my heart, in union with God. It's all okay. I changed the appointments. I found Joan took my class. It all worked out. As soon as I went into my heart, everything went fine. So I get to the emergency room and I'm walking in. I don't want to be here. My egoic, I don't want to be here. Go into your heart. I'm one with God, one with the emergency room. It's going to be fine. And then we got there and there was no one in there. Can you believe it? Anybody ever been to an emergency room and no one's in there? We got right in. As soon as I went into my heart, we got right in. So the first thing they do is a nurse comes at me with that needle for the CAT scan. They have to do an IV. And I'm one of these, when my veins see a needle coming, they just roll away. They just roll away and hide. And usually it takes about 6 times and they end up in my hands. So my egoic mind is going, I don't want that needle. I don't want to get out of here, So I went into my heart, united with God. I'm okay, united with God, I'm fine. Only took her 2 times. For me, that's good. That's good for me. So they take me into the CAT scan room. And I'm back in my mind going, I don't want to be here. Every time I get a CAT scan, they put the dye in and I start coughing. That's their, spasmic coughing. Okay, go into your heart. United with God, all is fine. United with God, not a big deal. Sure enough, they did the CAT scan. They put the dye in. I started coughing like I always do, but it was okay. They got the pictures taken and everything was fine. Basically, the outcome is, like everybody else in Green Valley, I'm now on Plavix, Crestor, and beta blockers, okay? We can all go in the angel room someday and have a drug party. So how many here are on Plavix, Crestor, or beta blockers? We don't. Okay, so the whole point of this is our egoic mind goes crazy. I don't want to be on 5X. I don't want to take all these pills, And we go into our heart, united with God. It's all okay. United with God, it's smooth and easy. Seek the kingdom first, and all else will be given. Well, if you don't listen to Jesus, here's a Star Trek. That's where I get my real wisdom. Remember Scotty, one of my favorite characters on Star Trek? He knew how to fix everything. And he was really smart, but he was intuitive. He would just get these intuitive knowings. And he knew that if you overthink things, it wouldn't work. There was one episode where there was something wrong with the plumbing. And one of my favorite lines, I saved it after all these years, Scotty said, the more they work to overthink the plumbing, the easier it is to stomp up the drain. And I thought, wow, the more we overthink things, the more we try to figure it out, I don't want to do this, the more we plug up the flow. And the flow just doesn't work. When our mind is doing all, I don't want to. Go into your heart, united with God. It's all okay. And to those who don't understand this, Jesus and all the miracles he did, it looks like magic. Harry Potter and all the things he did, it looks like magic. But both of them knew they were one with the power. And that's where the demonstrations came from. Just their knowing they were one with the power. Mari told a wonderful story this week at class. I don't tell it as good as she does. But years before she met Tom, this would never have happened with you, Tom. She was on a date and they went out on a sailboat. And all of a sudden they're out on the lake, and all of a sudden a storm came right up. And the boat started to, churn and go, and the storm was so bad they lost both their sails. And they knew that in a moment the boat was going to turn over and they'd be gone. And in that moment of knowing that, Mari said she just sort of let go and went to that place where she just knew, that union with God, knowing that it was going to be one way or the other. It wasn't about I'm going to die or I'm not going to die. It's like, you're one with God. And immediately the storm stopped. Everything became calm. I love that story, just the same as Jesus in the boat with the apostles when the storm came and he just said, peace, be still. And it all stopped. That's why surrender works. When we surrender, I know a lot of people don't like that word, it simply means going out of that egoic mind that is saying, I don't want to do this, I don't like this, and letting go of the struggle and going into the heart, letting go of the mental thought process and going in the heart. I'm one with God. In union with God, I'm safe. In union with God, I'm provided for. In union with God, all is well. It calms the storms of life. Everything begins to straighten out. Everything comes forward. One size solution to everything. Now the trick is, and here's where I lose it, the trick is staying there all the time. I can go there for a few minutes. I can go in and out when I need to, but to stay there all the time. Because as soon as we go back into our egoic mind, I don't like this, the connection is broken. And that flow, we're out of the flow. And then we have to calm that emotional body again. Nothing can disturb the calm peace of my soul. So we say that together. Nothing can disturb the calm peace of my soul. I had a lot of people sharing their stories this week. Michael was reminding me when his father was dying, and he lived further away, and his uncle, who was a doctor, had told him, he'll be fine, you don't have to come home, but Michael knew that probably wasn't what was happening. And he was so emotionally devastated, in the mind of, I'm losing my father. He couldn't connect. Michael, he's always connected, but he couldn't connect. He couldn't connect with his dad. He couldn't connect with God. And he said he really had to work on calming himself. Get into the flow by calming yourself. And as soon as he did that, he was able to communicate with his dad miles away. It's okay, you can go into the light. Mom will be okay. It's all okay. And his dad passed peaceably. And Michael was no longer in that emotional state, but was able to be in that calm, peaceful place. But our egoic mind is constantly taking us out of the calm, into the chaos. And the flow isn't there. Our abundance isn't there. Our guidance isn't there. Nothing is there. And as soon as we go into the heart, I know my union with God, we once again enter the flow. Jesus had many parables about the kingdom of God. He said the kingdom of God is like leaven or yeast that you put in bread dough. Just a little bit in there, and it rises and expands. And so when we go into our heart of knowing, our union with God, it's like planting that yeast that grows and expands our consciousness until we're one with all. All that is needed is provided. But we have to watch that egoic mind wants to take us out of there. I missed the Oscars last week. How many saw the Oscars? I missed them. I don't know how I missed the Oscars. Michael doesn't like them, so he didn't care. I missed the Oscars. So I have a question for everybody. How are the Oscars like our lives? Well, here's how. Our mind is like a movie projector, constantly projecting from our egoic mind our life. And we're in constant judgment. Oh, I like this situation. It's better than this situation. This situation deserves an award, but this one doesn't. You know, this I'll handle, this I don't. I don't like this, this I do. Our mind is constantly saying one is better than another. But our heart is in union with God. There's meaning and value in all of it. If I just be still, become calm, and go into that quiet place of knowing. Jesus said the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed, tiniest seed of all planted, grows into this large mustard plant. Again, the tiniest seed of knowing our union with God, even if we only feel it a little bit, expands our consciousness to encompass it all. The kingdom of God is a pearl of great price. Once you find it, you sell everything you own just to get that pearl of great price. Once we find and know our union with God, we're willing to give up all the mental struggles. We're willing to give up all the need to know. We're willing to give up figuring it out, struggling, and just entering that place of union with God. One size fits all. Seek the kingdom first, and all else is given. Let us take that into prayer. Once again, through prayer, we let go of the egoic mind and all the thoughts that are there, and simply surrender into the heart place, that place of knowing your union with God, that place of trusting that all is well, no matter what the appearance is, that place of letting go of attachment to how it turns out. In union with God, I am provided for. In union with God, I am healed and whole. In union with God, I am blessed, and the storms of life are calm. In union with God, I open to my connection of guidance. Whatever is needed is here for me right now. And I am so blessed. And we say thank you, Father, Mother God, once again, in the nature of the Christ. And so it is, so it truly is.